It worked, and welcome to another DCU Tonight. I'm your host, Rock Var. We are live on Var Nation and ready to wrap up this week in DCTV. Woo! It was a huge week in DCTV, minus Supergirl, which was not as fun as it would sound. In fact, it was not fun at all. It was semi-torture. But we'll be able to get Supergirl Monday, so only 2 days to wait until the next episode. Next glorious episode of Supergirl. But tonight we're going to wrap up this week's Arrow and talk about DC's Legends of Tomorrow and head on over to DCComics.com. Other than being the most awesome game on the planet, there haven't been much changes since my last broadcast. The game, if you haven't and if you are playing the game, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's awesome. We did have a server hotfix February 18th. I don't know if we've talked about that, but in case you were wondering what was going on in that hotfix, I've got some information right here. Some adjustments to episode 21. Which you might find interesting, but first we're going to change backgrounds and head on down to the studio. We're up in Var Nation Studios, high atop the Science Spire, as usual. Come down here to our regular show set and bid you adieu. Tonight we're getting into some new content on DCUO. We're going to play the crap out of episode 21. I don't know if we'll do the prison break or not. We might jump in there just to see what it's like. I am here tonight live with Pauletta Kent. She's not here with us in voice, but she's here with us. She's gagged next to me on the couch. You'll probably hear her talk, though, I would assume. You can just talk loud, and you'll maybe be heard in my mic. Maybe I'll take off one side of my earpiece so I can see you. But right now I'm a space pilot. I'm like one of those guys in Top Gun that's in the tower. And I'm like, you need clearance before you come in here, sir. No, you are not cleared for a flyby. Ever. Changes to episode 21 that happened the 18th in the update. The 8-player operation Prison Break. Dr. Light's tell will display for 1 second before he does his spin attack. And they fixed an issue with Dr. Light's spin attack where it would hit twice. So that's been taken care of. On episode 19 and 20, players that own episode 19 and or 20 but do not own episode 18 will now correctly get a chance to pick base items, R&D items, generator mods, or an extra mark from the solo, duo, and alert missions. So if you're purchasing those individually, you may have noticed some hiccups there. Those should be corrected now. So you don't have to own all of the episodes to get what you should be getting out of the one you do own. Power adjustments, mental grandeur will once again allow your character to move around while playing its animation. So there you go. When you do that one, you can move around, apparently. No need to try and cancel it in any way. And the mail issue should be fixed. That's been a long-running issue now for a couple of weeks, maybe, it seems like. Although days get skewed together, so it may have only been a couple of days that's been an issue. But the mail issue is fixed. They fixed an issue where mail with attachments could not be delivered to characters that had not logged in since the last server restart. So that mail, and I don't know specifically if that mail is going to go ahead and go through now, or if it all got sent back to the original sender. So you may want to check your mail and see if you've got a bunch of stuff that you had previously sent to people they had not received. The other alternative is that it just got deleted. I do not know. I will research that, but I would say the answer could be found at DCUO.com in the forums, because I'm sure there's discussion about it. Not in this particular thread, there's not, but I would say someone's already asked that question. Or it's been answered in a previous thread, and you can find those in the forums section under updates. Live update notes, actually, is where I found that. So that's about that. We streamed earlier today, did some healing, I'm not going to stream later tonight. I think we're just going to play. And that was fun. I really enjoyed it. But that's all the DCUO news right now that I've got. Of course, DCUO is a free-to-play game, so you can download it for free on PC by going to dcuniverseonline.com, or if you're a PlayStation player, you can download it for free at the PlayStation Store, and now we play together with the PC members. So either way, see you in the game, I guess, if you're on the US server. The only thing that disconnects us now is space, distance. Europe is on its own server, and we are separate from them. And I long for the day that we can all play together, like one giant superhero world. That's got to be the next step in DCUO. I think that is the next logical step in DCUO, is to combine. I don't know how that would work out. There's probably a lot of forces working against that from happening. Mostly, well, wouldn't have anything to do with time zones, because we're already playing with people that are 12 hours behind us. But I just don't know. I just don't know what the issue is, because I hear all the time YouTubers that are in Europe talking about playing on the US server and streaming on the US server. How they do that, I do not know. But it must be able to be done, is my point. And I really, I don't know why. There's so many reasons why that I can't really list them. But I want to play with the Europe players. I want to play with the EU server. That might be one of my biggest desires for the game right now. There's a lot of cool people There's a lot of cool people on this server too, but I'm just saying there's a lot of cool. That would just open up different things, you know? Lots of cross-cultural conversations. You know. Please do it someday. Only then will the world be united against all threats. That's the reality of it. Only when we stop thinking about it as a divided world and come together for one goal, and that goal being peace and love. So two goals, really, will the world be united. And I think that the first step in saving humanity and making this world a better place is for DCUO to connect their servers. I think that once that's happened, the world will look at, look what DCUO has done for gaming so far. I'm really joking a lot right now. I know I sound fairly serious, but look at what DCUO has done for gaming. If you really look and think, really look about it, or really look at it. Don't look about it. Look at it. Think about it and look at it. Free-to-play MMO. MMORPG. Free-to-play. Now cross-play between PC and PlayStation. Next, opening up on Xbox. I guess the next logical step will be including Xbox in our cross-play family. And then the merging of the world. And I think when foreign leaders and, domestic leaders see that step that DCUO has taken, it will spark world peace. Forget about the UN. We will have our own DCUO council. And they need a leader. And that leader will be me. No, it won't. I'm joking. I'm recruiting for world dominance right now, in case you haven't noticed. But no, I think that would be really fun. And I'm sure that someday we'll get to that. Let me know what you think in the comments of the video once this is posted live, or do it now, live in the stream. and spark a conversation between yourselves about it. I'm sure the conversation's already happening on the DCUO forums about it, because I'm not the first person probably to say that or think that. In fact, it probably is on their list of things to do. I don't know. But next up in DCUO, episode 22, I'm thinking real far ahead of things that could possibly happen. But next up, episode 22, we're getting down Kryptonian style. And that right now is the most important thing to me. It's not my birthday that comes in March. It's the content. I really don't want to age, but I do want the content. So that's what's to come in DCUO. Again, we're on to the next portion of the show and talk about DCTV, because this was a heck of a week for DCTV, even though we didn't have Supergirl, as I've said. Flash was awesome. We talked Flash in the last episode, so I'm not going to really go into that, but that's why I wanted to start streaming a lot more with Jay, because I play that character a lot, and just seems a shame to waste it, not stream, because it's so cool to actually be able to have that helmet. And thank you to DCUO. Again, I can't thank you enough for putting that in the game and making it obtainable for players who want to make an iconic tune, because they are watching, or reading DC Comics or watching TV, and it inspires them to want to make a character of their own, or an iconic character of their own. And definitely have to give a big thank you to Alan Scott JSA for designing that character's look, because every bit of what he's wearing was designed right down to the colors. And it's not complete. I'm still working to get things that I need to make it complete, but he does all the character design for any iconic characters that I'm playing, because he does a really good job doing it. And we'll get some information on his blog and stuff, so that you guys can check out all of the different characters that he's made. He's done, I don't know, I'm going to say most of the DC universe at this point, just by using, and not by using many iconic items either. I mean, he was doing this before anything iconic came out, so he would design the costume using what you can get in the game, and just nails it every time. It's amazing. So I'm coming up with different characters. I've got a Superman that he's done. I've got the Jay Garrick JSA that he's done, and I'm thinking of some different ideas for some stuff that I want to see if he can put together. But he did for me as a favor, just because we had a conversation about it, an entire Smallville Justice League that he put up on his blog, and it's amazing. I loved it. It's based on the guys who formed the Justice League in Smallville. So it's Aquaman, Impulse, of course Clark, Ollie, and Cyborg, and they are spot on. I mean, you couldn't get. It's almost as though you took a picture from, from that iconic walk where they've got the flames behind them, and he made it happen. So it's amazing. Hats off for that. That's Alan Scott JSA, and I'll talk more about his blog, and I'll show off some more of his costumes that he's designed in various streams. So look forward to that. But we had... Take a drink. It's Cherry Limeade tonight. No Mountain Dew. Sponsored by Cherry Limeade. Because I downed an entire 12-pack of Mountain Dew bottles, 16-ounce bottles yesterday between the time of 3 o'clock and 2 a.m., 3 p.m. and 2 a.m., and that is ridiculous. So I'm cutting back on the Mountain Dew a little bit. They will still continue to be a sponsor of my life, in the sense that I pretty much live on their product, but I also don't want to die tomorrow. So it's a lot of dew to consume. That's an amazing amount of dew. But what we've got to talk about tonight as far as DCTV, we will start with Arrow. It was a pretty good week for Arrow. I'm not going to say that it was the greatest episode in the repertoire, but it was definitely worth the watch. It's available for stream now on CWTV.com. And to get you up to speed a little bit, we're still pretty much just following Damien Dark around trying to take him down, and it's not working whatsoever. He's constructed pretty much what, if you watch the Young Justice cartoons, which we heard they're coming back with a season 3 of. I said that, right, Lina, the other day? Or am I dreaming that? I said it, so it must be true. So, yeah, season 3 of Young Justice is very potential, I believe, is what it was. I think the writers have it. They're really trying to get it done. So, anyway, but if you watch that show, you're familiar with the Light, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of like Damien Dark in this episode has made his own version. He has not made his own version. He has made his own version of Light. He's godlike, but not like that. So, Damien Dark, we did a little research on him because it's driving me nuts that this character is like all powerful in Arrow, and I just can't place why, this guy is so powerful. And I looked him up, and he's not in the comics. He's basically real smart. He's like Lex Luthor's intelligence, but probably not on that level. But he's super smart, and he's super connected, and they never really say why. But in the show, anyway, of course, we know that he was a member of the League of Assassins. And so he has, I'm going to say, immortality. I don't know if it's forever immortality, but... And then he basically trained himself in the ways of sorcery. Or he didn't train himself, but he went on a mission to become trained in the ways of sorcery. So much so that he's now a very feared and amazing sorcerer. And that's how he's able to do the death grip on that dude that he's talking to on the camera phone there. I wasn't real sure if he killed that guy or just aged him ridiculously, because it looked to me like there was still an old man on the screen when we looked back at it, but it was a young man's voice when he was talking to him. So I don't know. But, the gist of this episode really revolves around Papa Lance, Dresden, and Felicity's mom. Now, it was never doubt Papa Lance, Felicity's mom, because it's bullshit. And we find that out. She's all upset because he won't tell her a secret. He wants to get her as far away as possible and not interact with her because he's afraid Damien's going to come after her. And he can't really tell her that because he knows that then at that point she'll just decide to stay. She'll end up in harm's way and dead. So Dresden's trying to do the good thing, and he's trying to get her, kind of to step back. But he's not doing it out of meanness, and it kills him to do it. He talks about that at great length with Felicity, but now she's all pissed off at him, and she goes out kind of, to talk to Felicity, and she's down on herself because she's had issues with men lying to her in the past, and so on and so forth. And, it's hard. It's an awkward situation for Felicity to be in because she kind of knows the reason that he's pushing her away and can't say anything about it. But she does kind of tell her to keep the faith, and we end up she ends up seeing him in action, risking everything to take down the bad guy, and she understands now that he's just trying to protect her. But, that's how it is when you're in law enforcement. And I think a theme in DCTV, at least with Gotham and now with Arrow, has been the whole, and it used to be a big theme with Smallville too, was secrets. The lady's always pissed off that the dude's keeping secrets. Well, I think that this should be a lesson for all women. When your husband tells you that he's only looking out for your protection and he's trying to, whatever he's been doing at night is for the good of you and the family, I think you need to believe him, because you don't know who could be a superhero. You don't know. You could be stopping Superman from doing his thing. You could be, the chances are very slim that he's cheating on you, ladies. Very, very slim. And they're even slimmer that he's going to a strip club or something of that nature. The most likely case is that he is a superhero and, in fact, is trying to save you from some kind of evil villain that is, would use the love of his life to destroy him. So just keep that in mind. The next time your husband tells you he needs to go to town for milk, but you have a refrigerator that has a full thing of milk in it, he's probably helping an old lady cross the street. But that's all that aside. I just mean in the sense of at least law enforcement, though, because that's the thing that every time I watch these shows and they're talking about, why won't you tell me what it is, especially with Barbara Gordon in Gotham. They're in law enforcement. Isn't it illegal for them to tell you things? Some things, I would think. Like, couldn't that get them in trouble? If you can't stand secrets, I think law enforcement is not where the dating pool you should be pulling from. Might be the motto of that there. But most likely he's a superhero. So anyway, that said, another point about the episode that comes up is Thea's nose, and it gets pointed in Ollie's direction about his son. Because Thea can't keep it to herself, and so she has figured it out. She's smart. I mean, she's not stupid. She's Ollie's sister. They're really intelligent people. She's figured out that her mom had paid this girl off, that Ollie had this, I guess she assumes, had a one-night stand with. I'm not real sure. She's found that their mom had paid her off, but it came about right about the time when her son, she actually went and researched who this person was to find out who her mom was giving money to. So the next lesson that we learn from this episode of Arrow is when your parents die, do not look through their bank account and go to find out who they have been paying things to, because you're going to find out that your brother has a son with some lady somewhere, and then that kid's going to get kidnapped, because that's what ends up happening. And I don't think the two things are connected really, but Thea did go and she did research and she found that he had a son, and she puts it all together based on, the time period, because the kid's the right age and all that good stuff. So she has that heart-to-heart with Ollie, and what that brings up is now he has a real moral dilemma, because does he go forward with the wedding with Felicity without telling her he has a kid, or does he do what he's been told to do by his son's mother, who has said you can only be in his life if you never tell anyone that you're his dad, including him? Not only that, but you're putting him at risk, which I think he's probably at risk anyway, because at that point, because why does Oliver Queen have a relationship with this kid, who's not his son, and he's not dating his mom? Out of the blue, he just kind of likes this kid or something. The bad guys are going to figure that something out, and of course we know that from the previous episode that Damien Darhk has already been told by Malcolm Merlyn that is Oliver's son. So we'll get to that in a minute. The other point that I want to make about this episode, another point in a long list of points, is that we see again that Oliver is the best at jumping off of balconies to rave sound effects. And he really is. They do and I say that kind of poking fun because of the ring, but they still do a really good job of making it iconic Green Arrow looking. Even right down to the last scene of the episode where it's not even Ollie. It looks like Green Arrow. I mean, they're from a distance. They're doing a hell of a job keeping him kind of original. But my next point is, if you have tender ears, don't listen right now. Darhk is a punk ass biatch, and his wife is straight crazy. That's my next point, and he is, and I really hate this guy now. I hate him a lot more now than I have to this point, and it's because he has now kidnapped Oliver's son, taken him to his house, and he's basically having him live with his family, knowing that he's probably going to kill him. I mean, he introduced him to his daughter. It was like they were having a play date or something. He's introducing his daughter to his victims now. That's some seriously whack shit right there. That's some seriously, like, you should not be a parent. Obviously, he shouldn't be a parent anyway, but, you know, damn, dude. She's going to be like, his name William. She's going to be like, whatever happened to that William that used to live with us and I called him brother and he called you papa and whatnot? And be like, we need to get something out of his dad, so we killed him. Oh. Well, that's not traumatic. I'm going to go back and watch Care Bears now. Damn. Ruthless. And that's where we're left with this episode. He has stolen Ollie's son. Oh, and I just thought of the last scene in Legends of Tomorrow, not the last scene in Arrow. So we'll get to that after we talk a little bit more about Legends of Tomorrow. But that was pretty much the episode in Arrow. There not really anything else stood out to me. Other than now we just have to figure out how is he going to get his son back. Miles away, so how do you fight that really? Without some sorcery, I would think. Bring in Dr. Fate, that would be cool. Or Constantine comes back. Why hasn't Constantine been back yet? We've had Damien Dark on this entire season. We had a little bit of Constantine. We need to see more of that. I thought there was going to be more of that. Maybe there will be. We'll find out. We should go to KryptonSite.com or KSiteTV.com and check it to see what exactly will be happening in future episodes of Arrow, because they always have spoilers and speculation. He's always got interviews with the actors, with the writers, with the producers. Always gets the stories first. And that's KSiteTV.com. You go to the KSite TV news page. So that pretty much wraps it up for this week of Arrow. #Arrow. I'm not disappointed, though. I'll say that. Arrow's kept me very happy since day one. I really enjoyed season 2. I'm really eager to find out why it is that this dude thinks that Oliver's the key to finding this weapon, and what exactly is this weapon that they're talking about. Is it a Green Lantern ring? Is it... the hell is it? I just don't know. But I will find out. But the next show that we will talk about tonight is DC's Legends of Tomorrow, also available to stream now on CWTV.com. Never disappoints. Another stellar episode, as usual. As is the usual. Where we left off last week, Stein had been captured by the Russians, and he didn't have a goat to trade, so he was stuck. He didn't have a goat or a sister. There was no way he was getting out of there. I make your deal. I can't do it right now. Damn it! But anyway, he was in a tight situation. They're trying to make a Soviet firestorm. It is, in fact, close to happening. All they need is the key that they don't yet know is Stein. And they do know that it's his formula, so they're trying to force him into doing the formula, or giving them the rest of it so that it'll work. And that's where we were left. They've got him. They're threatening him with torture. They're trying to make him everything they can to get him to spill this. And Vandal's, doing what he can manipulation-wise and everything else. So, as it is, the rest of the team is going to have to go help him out. Get him out of there. Free him, we think. Unfortunately, they've seen a glimpse of a possible future where, the Russians have this firestorm weapon and they use it to conquer the world. And so they know that something has to be done. He has to be saved or stopped from being able to help them. Those are the only two options that there are. And so that sparks yet again the conflict between Sarah and her inner killer. She's a demon inside. And so Rip knows that she's the assassin. Obviously, he knows what's going to happen in the future. So he essentially tells her if she can't save him, she's going to have to off him. And she kind of wrestles around with that internally and externally by talking to a few other people that are there on the team, namely Captain Cold, or mostly Captain Cold. And she pretty much convinces herself to do it. I was a little bit shocked that she doesn't do it. Spoiler alert, Stein lives, at least as far as we know. But I was a little bit shocked that she took the thought as far as she did. I mean, she was right down to the wire going to do it. They had to talk her out of doing it. So, a little bit conflicted there. I mean, there's a scene probably where we'll talk about, well, I guess I can go into that right now. When we get right down to it, they're taking Stein into a place where he's going to be forced to merge with this evil Doc Dale, and they're going to become the Soviet Firestorm. And Sarah, the entire time, has the crosshairs on Stein as though she's going to take him out before he goes into this building if the rest of the team can't save him. But the question that I keep thinking about, and we kept screaming about, was why doesn't she just shoot the guards that were with him? They were basically at this prison, and there was a riot going on in the yard as they're transporting Stein across it. So, it would have been fairly easy for him to get away if she had taken out those guards. But then again, then we would never have the merge between Stein and Herr Doctor, and we wouldn't get to see a real badass fight. So I guess that was the point of that. But in the end, Sarah chooses the side of good, and she doesn't shoot. And all that because of really a conversation, I think, because of a conversation she had with Cold. And because she had Rip and Cold on the headset telling her not to, like over and over again. It was a little bit ridiculous how far she kind of seemed to would have gone, like she would have actually done it had they not been trying to keep her from it. So I don't know how much her character issues are actually developing at this point. Slowly, we're probably going to deal with that. Well, and if they take that away from her, that's what she's got. You know what I mean? They have to keep that going for that character throughout the rest of the season, because then if not, Sarah becomes just another, hero that has no internal conflict. She becomes kind of uninteresting, I guess, if you want to look at it in the sense of keeping an audience, like, I don't know. Anyway, but what we do find out in this episode is that Captain Cold is a pretty good leader, I think, other than the fact that he's a thief, obviously, but his whole thing is, loyalty. He is uber loyal to his team, mainly Rory. But he's, at heart, I think he's a good dude. I mean, he was seriously having a heart-to-heart with Sarah about how Rip probably doesn't have their best interests at heart, and they have to take it upon themselves to look after each other, because he's probably going to get them in a situation where someone's going to die, inevitably. He's working towards a greater goal, and that greater goal is awesome and all, but from Captain Cold's point of view, they're going to have to look out for their teammates kind of against his will in some situations. This being one of those situations. He was not about to sit still and let Heat stay in that prison and have something happen to him. He was, whatever excuse he could use to get there, and then once he was there, that was his main objective, and everything else could burn. And that's his mentality. But it's cool in the sense that he does truly care about people. or at least he's honorable in that sense, I guess is where I was going. Ray the Boy Scout, of course. They continue using the nickname Boy Scout for Ray, and I love that very, very much. Proves that he can take a beating and keep on laying in a cot on a pillow moaning, because it was pretty painful. But he stood up for what he believed was right. Of course, he's a super nice guy. He goes into prison and he just wants to start talking to people. He's what I imagine like Wally West would be like in a prison, like not Flash Wally West, but comic book Wally West, or DC Universe, or DC Justice League Unlimited Wally West. That's where I'm going. He just starts talking to everybody and being a nice guy, and he stands up for an old dude who's getting picked on and gets the crap beat out of him. Heat doesn't do a thing about it because he's letting him learn a lesson, basically, and because he's used to looking out for number one. But it doesn't stop Ray from standing up for him again and showing his true spirit once they're kind of getting beaten on by the guards. He takes the attention away from Heat and takes it himself. So he earned some loyalty, and then at the end, when Heatwave and Captain Cold make their break, Heatwave makes sure to take Ray with him. So, boom. And he lands an epic "your mom" joke. That was the highlight for me of this entire episode, and that is why DC episode of the week for this week for VAR Nation, because that was epic. It was an epic "your mom" joke, and I am very much an appreciator of your mom jokes. Everyone who knows me knows that, and he nails a good one. So watch the episode to find out how that goes down. I'm not going to steal the thunder of my main man, Brandon Routh. But the rest of the show, I wrote down blah, 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 a showdown with Savage. They do have a big showdown with Savage. Hot Girl and Rip Hunter confront him. Again, we're in a situation where Rip's got a gun to Savage's head, and he does nothing. We think he does nothing. And Shire is standing there with the ability to knife Vandal and doesn't do it. And obviously the show would be over if that happens. We were discussing that. It's going to take him a little bit to recover from a gunshot wound to the head. So if Rip would shoot him in the head with that snazzy futuristic gun, Shire could just go ahead and knife him while he's laying on the ground regenerating. So that would be the ideal way to do it, but then that would end the show. And the reality is, you're not going to kill Vandal Savage. I mean, he's an ongoing villain in the DC universe, so there will never, in my opinion, be an end to Vandal Savage on this show. I feel that it's just going to lead to a bigger build-up to something bigger. That's kind of where I think it's going. We're going to have a crisis, I feel like we're going to have a DCTV crisis, and it started with Flashpoint, with the Flash's version of Flashpoint, and it will continue through whatever they've got planned. And I don't know what that is, but I'm hoping at least that's the plan. And if it's not the plan, that's a free idea for you guys. Although it's your idea anyway, because you created the content to begin with. So you don't need me for that. And then at the end of the episode, this is the second reason. It should probably be the first reason, but this is going to be the second reason why DC's Legend of Tomorrow wins the best episode of the week for VAR Nation. So Kronos is chasing them through the time stream. He manages them to knock them out of the time stream and send their ship awry. And when that happens, they land on the future Earth. Now, we don't know if this is Earth 1. We don't know if it's Earth 2. We don't know if this is my guess is, because they were knocked out of their original time stream, this is probably like a multiverse Earth in a separate time stream. I don't know. But they're knocked into like 2046, I think. And they're walking through the streets. They don't know what year it is. They look up. Ray notices that it says smoke across the top of his building, so Felicity has changed the name on it. Obviously, Ray never made it back in this timeline, I'm guessing. And they see who they think is Green Arrow standing on top of I think it's a semi-trailer that's parked in the street. They think it's Green Arrow, and they talk to him, and he doesn't know who they are. The camera pans up, and it's not Green Arrow, it's some other dude. And I'm thinking, and I think the rest of the world is thinking at this point, that's Connor Hawk. That is Ollie's son. And we're going to go into a little bit about him for anyone who doesn't know about Connor Hawk. I've got some background information pulled up on the character, and then he's also barely mentioned in the DCTV Secrets on DCComics.com this week. But my guess is that's who it is. And it was sweet. One of the, again, we get another great DC iconic moment. They are not stopping. This is DCTV right now is so hardcore that they are working in storylines from the comics old and new. They're showing nods to everything. I mean, this is the time for DC Comics. Hell, today, as I was going to Subway to get Lyda a sub, the dude behind the counter started talking to me about Batman versus Superman and the Justice League movies to come and, DC Comics in general. I don't know if that's new, like if that blows anybody else's mind that this has become so popular, but there was a time, at least where we live, where you'd kind of get laughed at for talking about comics and superheroes and stuff like that. It hasn't always been cool, and I am super thrilled that we live in a world now where it's cool. Ben Affleck is our freaking Batman. I know we've had George Clooney and Val Kilmer, and we've had famous Batmen before, but who would have thunk? Go back and watch Dazed and Confused and tell me that when you saw that, you thought that kid would someday be Batman. Ben Affleck. Somebody creeping on our porch? We're getting robbed. Holy shit, that was weird. Okay, hold on. Okay, it's a possum. We were not getting robbed. Not yet, anyway. But we do have a possum. Okay, so the possum might rob us. I'm a little scared right now. So he went down my front steps, the possum, and under my car, and probably out to wherever the little possum lives. But that's creepy. 'Cause it just is. Once when had a little kid, I had a possum in my house. I came home from somewhere. I don't know where we had gone. And I was young. I mean, I was like 6-ish, 7-ish. And we came inside the house, and there was a possum. He had come down through the chimney. And my dad got a big-ass fishing net and netted him and threw him outside. He never once acted violent or anything. He just kind of curled up. They're real docile. The only time they'll really attack is if, they're cornered and you're trying to go at them. But, Well, yeah, I guess if they could have rabies, that could be very true. But anyway, back to DCU Tonight. We may or may not edit that out. It's kind of funny, really. At the end of DC, or at DC's Legends of Tomorrow, we see who we think is Connor Hawke. So if you're not really familiar with Connor Hawke in the comics, I'm going to make you familiar a little bit right now. We're going to go over, and I'm just going to read to you off the Wikipedia page for the character, so you can find this yourself and look in more detail by just, all I did was Google Connor Hawke. I just wanted to have something right in front of me that I could just read from. And, you can go to dccomics.com to see that, or, they've got all kinds of character bios there, but normally they're the same as the Wikipedia page. In fact, in most cases, they even have the same picture. But Connor Hawke is a fictional DC superhero who operates as the second Green Arrow. He was created by Kelly Puckett and Jim Aparo. Connor Hawke is the son of Oliver Queen, the original Green Arrow, and his former girlfriend, Sandra Hawke, Moonday. And you're familiar with Moonday, Lyda. I'm not really familiar with her. I'm going to have to look her up. But he made his first appearance in Green Arrow Volume 2, Number 0 in 1994. So a lot can be found out about that character by going to DC Comics and taking a look. But so that says a number of things. If they're in an alternate time stream, well then potentially that could be her son. It could be Ollie and Sandra's son. We don't know yet. If it's in our same time stream, just in the future, what happened to him in Felicity, then what happened to him in Black Canary? What the hell? You know what I mean? Because we know, obviously, it's not either one of their kids. So, whose kid is it? That to be found out next week on Arrow. And, of course, or not on Arrow, on Legends of Tomorrow. So, Arrow, Wednesday night at 8. DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Thursday night at 8, both on the CW. And, of course, start your week out with Supergirl on CBS, also at 8 o'clock, followed by The Flash on the CW, Tuesday nights at 8. So we have a full week, every week, pretty much, until they go on some kind of a break of DCTV. What a world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. What a world. And I know, and I don't like to poke at other comic book companies and, do rival type things, because it's not cool, really. They're all nice. We like them all. But DC really owned the franchise on actual broadcast television. Marvel's got a couple of, is right out there. It's, if you have cable, it's free to watch. If you don't have cable, you can pick the CW up on an antenna in most places, or whatever the equivalent of an antenna is now. For your HD TV, we were getting, if your TV's got a built-in antenna like a lot of the HD TVs do now, you're going to be getting the CW in your area. I think it's just mostly on channel 6. I'm not sure, but that's for you to find out, I guess. You can do that by going to TV Guide and whatnot and find out what the CW is in your area. So that wraps up the DCTV portion of DCU Tonight. It was a solid week. I can't wait to see Supergirl on Monday. I think most people are in that boat. I hope you are. If you're not, what the hell is wrong with you? Nah, whatever. To each their own. Some people may like that. It's a little bit more campy than the other shows, but I dig it. I dig it because they're doing a really good job making a good superhero stories. Many good superhero stories happening. So we're going to transition over to DCComics.com now for the last part of the show, and before we get into just some me and Lyda playing DCUO, because that's happening like mad. There are several things you want to check out on DC Comics this week, one of which is coming to you from DC All Access. There's a link on the homepage here for Justice League vs. Teen Titans trailer breakdown by DC All Access, and there's a new I don't know if you know this or not, there's a new animated movie coming out, Justice League versus Teen Titans. And this is a breakdown of the trailer that just got released. It's a really good breakdown. They go through a lot of information about all the characters that you'll see, from Justice League members to members of the Teen Titans. So I encourage you to watch that and show some love to DC All Access. I believe you can find every upload they do on their YouTube channel, but for the sake of getting traffic to DCComics.com, I would just suggest going to the website and hitting it that way. Also, this week in DCTV Secrets, we get a little bit of information about DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and we're going to do that now. This is posted every week on DCComics.com following the most recent episode of the show. You can find them all by going to DCComics.com and clicking on the link. It is DCTV Secrets. You can find those. It's a hashtag on Twitter. There's a Facebook page for it, Google+, Pinterest. So go and check it out. If you find any DCTV secrets that they don't list here, they encourage you to share them on Twitter with the hashtag DCTV Secrets. So the first one this week happens to be about the prison that Ray and Heatwave are trapped at. Stein is also there. And I'm going to suffer a little bit with pronouncing this. Is that Gulag prison? Gulag? That's what I'm going to say. Gulag. I'm going with it. And I said it, so now that's the way it's pronounced for everyone. Stein, Ray, and Heatwave find themselves imprisoned in a Gulag prison. Of course, it's not just any Russian prison. It's the Koshmar Gulag. This isn't the first time we've dropped into what's known as the Nightmare Gulag. Lila got trapped there in Season 2 of Arrow after she broke in. John infiltrated the facility and extracted her with the help of Oliver and Felicity. So we've already seen that set. It looked a little bit familiar, but I'm sure we saw a different part of it. And they've got a nice picture of the torture that was happening in this week's episode. The next one, turning to an expert, Captain Cold runs point on rescuing Heatwave, Ray, and Stein from the dreary confines of the Koshmar Gulag. It's a fitting choice considering Wentworth Miller also starred in Fox's Prison Break. And that we've talked about several times. And I would just want to say for the record, DC Comics, DC Universe Online beat you to the punch by naming their raid Prison Break. They broke that connection. I'm sure it was talked about maybe before that, but so that is funny. And if you haven't seen Prison Break, I suggest you watch it. It's one of the best television shows ever. Just prepare to have several heart attacks throughout the course of the series. And I mean that in a good way, but it keeps you so much on the edge of your seat that literally we had to take breaks because we had chest pains from all of the activity. I'm not joking. The next one's titled Swipe Left and Find a Different Match. Valentina Vostok takes it upon herself to merge with Stein to create a dangerous Soviet firestorm. Such a character did exist in the comics, but in a different form. That firestorm was physically a combination of Mikhail Arkadin, the Russian superhero known as Pozar, and Ronnie Raymond. So they combined together at some point, but controlled by the mind of Stein. So that is a weird combination. Pozar initially obtained his powers during a catastrophe at Chernobyl and merged with Ronnie during a nuclear explosion. Arkadin appeared on Legends last week. He was a soldier working in the same facility as Valentina. So, a little tidbit of information there, I guess. She was a mean Soviet firestorm. I was glad to see her blow up. Although, it was a little weird that they did just let her blow up. Because that just seems unhealthy for everyone involved. But they're, apparently not. Same building, different name. Much to Ray's surprise, his building in Star City has a new name. In this future, it no longer bears the name of Palmer Technologies, but instead says Smoke. Felicity has clearly made some changes. We talked about that earlier. And then again, who's the man in green? Oliver Queen isn't protecting Star City in 2046, or is he? He isn't alone. We're not ready to give away anything about this mysterious man just yet, they say. But literally, as soon as we watch the episode, which I streamed it 2 days later, so I expect that there's some, has been some conversation happening already. But as soon as I typed in Connor Hawk into Google, the first thing to come up was not DC Comics, anything about the comic book version. It was Connor Hawk appears on Arrow, question mark. I mean, this is blowing up on the internet, and we'll find out hopefully next week, or shows up on Legends of Tomorrow. I keep thinking he's on Arrow. He should be, maybe, I don't know, but that's that. So they say see you next week on the hashtag DCTV Secrets, and that's what we're about to say on DCU Tonight. We are, Monday's shows no longer happen, so we'll probably be streaming on Monday nights leading into Supergirl. That will be, this coming Monday. Hopefully a new Supergirl airs, and we'll do the stream before the show, and then we'll jump on over to KSite TV or KryptonSite.com and get in on the discussion leading up to the episode. And then DCU Tonight will run Wednesday nights and Friday nights. Wednesday night about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Friday nights will be a late show, so 10:30. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining us. The station is VAR Nation, or the channel is VAR Nation. The show's DCU Tonight. And you can check out our website, varnationdcuo.com. Help us live the dream on Patreon at patreon.com/varnation, or support the YouTube channel. You can also support the YouTube channel by liking the video, sharing the video, and subscribing. Up to 136 subscribers now, so thank you to each and every one of you. And that wraps it up. For Hippolyta Kent, this is Rock Var saying peace out.